Welcome to Scaredycast, everybody.
Welcome to Scaredycast.
I got like 4 hours of sleep. I didn't go to sleep until 10 in the morning. Yeah.
Why are you just on spring break all the time? What's
Don't
going
know.
on?
I'm just up, and I woke up at 2. So
How many sodas did you have?
none.
What? How?
I don't know. I'm just
You're
awake.
surfing the web?
No, I wasn't even doing that. I was just awake.
Okay.
I drank a Magic Mind though,
Oh.
and that helped a little bit.
Helped like calm you? Or helped focus you and that's what kept you up till 10 a.m.?
It just helped. It helped keep me.
Okay.
I'm good.
So you got a lot of work done.
We don't have a Brian.
No Brian.
this week.
But we have a Monty.
We do. We have a Monty.
A full Monty.
Oh, how many times do you hear that?
All the time.
You're like, God, get a new joke. You're like, actually, I don't want to do this interview. We're going to introduce Monte Yazzie later, who is the festival director of the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival.
You got it.
Taking place here in Phoenix, Arizona. I didn't have to look at my notes.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Dang.
So we're going to talk all about that. I'm super excited. It's going to be amazing. We can't wait to talk to you. But we do have a few announcements first. And you know what? Yeah, I mean, maybe Brian we might have met Brian's permanent replacement.
Dang.
We're going to have to see.
Dang, Brian, hear that?
You hear that, Brian? So what happens
right.
when you have to work and make money? How dare you?
Yeah.
No, we miss Brian. Always the little curly-headed boy.
Speaking of Brian having to work, there's one way that we can all avoid ever having to lose Brian for the show. And that's by everybody going to patreon.com/scaredycast and signing up. We have 2 new supporters, Kat and the Childish Gambirdo.
Which is seriously one of the best. Like, that's an amazing name.
Yeah, right?
Does he have is there, like, when you sign up for Patreon, is there a picture that's associated
Sometimes
with
there
it?
is, but I haven't looked.
We need to see his beard because I'll be like, you know what?
Childish
if you have a name like that,
Gambirdo,
then
take a picture of your beard and tag us, please.
this is not in like a weird way. Okay, we're not trying to.
I mean,
unless you want it to be, then that's going to be another level of
we
Patreon.
should start onlybeards.com.
It might already exist.
Maybe, probably.
I don't know. What
It's
is
just beards.
it going to be like an OnlyFans in your mind? But it's, okay.
You have to pay to see people's beards.
Oh.
Yeah.
I better start working on mine. This is like 6 days, no
I can't
shave.
even grow one.
I got
I'm
nothing.
the same. Like,
I got nothing.
Man, I'm
Yeah.
jealous of you guys. Obviously not on my face, but like, leg hair and stuff. It's fun to have to shave.
other announcements, we have some events coming up. April 4th, we're going to be at Majestic Theater for a screening of Here for Blood to kick off WrestleMania weekend. I can't wait. Here for Blood's just a wrestling themed horror movie. It's wrestling and horror.
Literally, this is Tony's dream of like a subject matter for a film. Like if this is like, well, I mean, I don't know. You have written a film before.
I have written
Many films.
many. I've made 2.
Me too.
They're on YouTube if you can seek them out. Go
Can
right
we
ahead.
find them? Are they like
They are on
unlisted?
YouTube. I can find them.
Yeah.
I'm going to check them out.
All right.
Under your name?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't
Do you
remember.
even know where your
Actually,
films are
if
at?
you go, it's on Vimeo under my name.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's like they're like vimeo.com/Tony Godier, I think, and
I'll just email
you.
I just found out what I was going to do for my Thursday night.
Oh God!
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, worst movie ever. Just kidding.
Here for Blood's great. I'm a big wrestling fan as well too. So last week on the show, when Tony was talking about the WrestleMania and how it's the most amazing event happening next weekend, I took a little bit of offense to that because I'm thinking to myself, the film festival's next week too. It's such a big event. Like I can't give my wrestling love to WrestleMania and not give it to my film festival that we have.
Yeah, Tony messed up.
Will Cody finish his story?
Yeah,
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah,
dude. After
what's
what
going to
happened
happen
on
to
Monday
The
night,
Rock?
whatever happened on Monday night,
Yeah, it was yeah,
the Attitude Era is back,
back big time.
back, big time. Speaking of wrestling and the film festival and our events. June 15th, we have a live show out in Sun City, Arizona, way on the west side. I know it's far, but trust me, it's going to be good.
You guys are really challenging your age demographic at that show, aren't you?
Hey,
You
we
know.
have, but
We're not ageist here on Scaredycast, but also too, I mean, the Ghostlight Theater, they're amazing to us.
They're great.
You know,
Yeah.
we've had a few live showings there. It's been amazing, and we're gonna have none other than Nathan Basil joining us.
Nathan Basil, Leslie Vernon from Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, written by David Steve, I think is how you say his last name, who has a movie at the Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival.
Ooh, it's all full circle.
It's just like this.
So everyone that's going to the horror festival, just hang around a couple more months.
Yeah.
just go
hang
out
out.
to Sun City.
Hang out.
Yeah. And then it was just announced on July 28th, we'll be at the Day the Res Stood Still 2, put on by the Woodenhead Collective.
In the wonderful community of the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community. That's my day job. I work in that community.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Dude.
I was at the Day the Res Stood Still last year. Such a wonderful event. I had such a great time.
Yeah, it was very it was like you walked in and it was just like a good vibe.
Yeah.
Like a family-ish vibe. Like,
Can I get on my podium for a second?
Do it.
And just
Do it.
talk
Absolutely.
a little bit. So I'm Navajo and Apache. I've been a horror fan since the day I was born, pretty much. I've lived and breathed horror films for so long. And to see a bunch of young Native people come together and really put together this great event, it's so inspiring to me. And the fact that now representation with Native Americans is getting to be more widespread and culture is being represented properly in films now. It's so great that now it's expanding out away from just normal films. It's going into genre films. It's going into all these things. And, those guys, they put together a wonderful little package for the Day the Res Stood Still Part 2.
Yeah.
The little video that they did. I love it. I think it's so great what they're doing, and it makes me proud. I wouldn't miss it. I took my kids. We showed up. We had black fry bread. We walked around and had pickle slushies. It was the best thing.
I took my kids and my wife all went, but before we got there, we stopped to get lunch because we didn't know there was going to be food there.
Yeah.
And we were so upset when we saw there was fry bread and tacos and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love fry bread tacos.
Oh, yeah. We're so excited. Yeah. And Woodenhead Collective has been so amazing to us. We're super excited to be a part of it. But you're so right. I mean, we're talking about, the horror community and being able to have representation and also, too, being able to have a place that everyone can come and share their love for that. So it's amazing to be able to be a part of it and to be able to see it expanding and to be able to have a place that you can take your family because it didn't used to be that way. Horror stuff used to be pretty intense or really underground and things like that. So we're super excited and we can't wait. You said that you've been a horror fan your whole life. Do you remember the first movie that you watched or what made you fall in love with it?
So Creature Features.
Okay.
My dad showed me Godzilla films when I was little. So it was a huge
That was
thing
my
for
dad,
me.
and then I did it the same to my children. Guys, watch Godzilla. Yeah.
It was an eye-opening experience to take my 12-year-old to go watch Godzilla -1, and he had watched so many of the Godzilla films up to that point. It was a Sunday routine for us.
Yeah.
That when we watched Godzilla -1 and the old original theme music hit, my son got so excited. He was almost jumping up and down. He was so excited for it. And I remember thinking, I'm like, this is what parenting? We don't really know. Sometimes you don't really know why you're a parent. It's so hard sometimes that I thought to myself, I'm like, this is it right here. This is the moment that I'm like, I'll never forget this moment because he just popped up in his seat. He looked at me and his eyes were so big. And it was just such a great moment.
Yeah, I always throw curveballs at my kids where they think we're going to go do one thing, but then it turns out to be another. So this past Tuesday, we had a screening for Godzilla and Kong.
Yep.
And I just told them, you guys got to come with me. I got to do a Scaredycast thing. Kelsey and Brian can't make it, so I need you guys to just come help. And they're like, okay. And then my oldest is 15, and he does not like leaving his bedroom for anything. So he was pissed. Because I could tell, he texted me, and he's like, when do you think we'll be home? I'm like, I don't know, around 9. And then I saw, bubbles.
And then he was
the
thinking of what to say.
And I'm like, oh, he's mad about something. He does not want to go. And then they go and they're like, oh my God. But yeah, with, I don't know if it's the same for your kids, but with my kids, one is 10, the other's 15. I showed them Godzilla when they were very, very young. And you know how kids are they get into a thing and then they get out of it and then they get into a new thing and then they get out of that. But Godzilla's been there since day one. This one over here, I brought Lucas. Some of our Scaredycast listeners know Lucas. They see him around. He just our whole living room was he brought all the Godzilla toys into our living room because he was counting down to Godzilla and Kong.
My son's at that point where he's into the real expensive figures now.
Oh yeah. The SH Monster.
The SH Monster. Yeah. Yep.
There's actually another one. I don't remember the company, which sucks, but The quality is better than SH Monster Arts for half the price.
Okay.
Yeah, right. You're just gatekeeping right now. You're like, I don't want the price to rise.
I'll look it up online. I'll look it up.
He's like, sign up to Patreon, and then we'll tell you on
sign up to Patreon. I'll tell you where to get these toys. They're going to be through our Amazon affiliate link. Thanks.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I just remembered something else about like growing up as a horror fan, and I grew up in a family. We didn't always have a lot of funds to go out and watch movies, brand new movies and stuff. So I was a VHS kid. That's how I watched everything. But it was my parents who were like very instrumental in like showing me stuff. And I'll never forget. I was maybe 9 years old, and I saw The Howling Man, the Twilight Zone episode.
Ooh, yeah.
And it just burned into my brain this like, wow, this is crazy. It's about this guy who he arrives at this castle, and then he goes inside the castle. He's looking for help with his vehicle, I think, or something. He walks in this castle, and he hears a man howling in the back. And these like group of, they look like priests or druids or something. They have captured this man. They say he's the devil, and we can't let him out, because if we let him out, then the world's gonna end. And we've captured him though, so we're gonna keep him back here. And it's this like really eerie like thing. And then I don't want to spoil it. Go watch it. It's a really, really great episode. But at the very end of it, there's this wonderful scene that like not only enthused my brain as a filmmaking person, as somebody who likes filmmaking now, but at the time just scared me. Yeah. I was like, whoa, I couldn't believe like what was happening on screen. And it that made an impact. So I watch every Twilight Zone. My kids watch it. I show my daughter. My daughter's younger.
Is it the original Twilight Zone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Original Twilight Zone. It's black and white.
Yeah.
Real old school.
When I was a kid, I remember my parents watched like the 80s. There was like a reboot kind of. Mm-hmm. And I remember it was like, there was that. There was Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Yep. And then Tales from the Dark Side and Monsters.
Yeah.
That was like... And I was just traumatized as a child. Not because of the episodes. It was the Tales from the Dark Side intro. Yeah. Just the title intro to that show. I would leave the room when I was a kid. I'm like, nope.
But would you come back for the actual episode?
Sometimes I would. I only remember one episode. I remember like one. It was like the Christmas episode, something called The Grither. And like the grandpa.
Grither.
It was like the grandpa's telling these two kids, his grandkids, like the story of the Grither. Oh, he's going to come get you. He's a giant. Woo, woo, woo. But then it like a giant hand like comes through the window at the end. It's like oh,
yeah. It's really great. That's a really good one.
Tony's just never sleeping with his windows open ever again.
Oh no, their windows were closed. It didn't matter. Yeah. Tales from the Crypt was like another one.
I was a big Up All Night guy from USA. We had cable, so I used to watch Rhonda Shear and the Up All Night shows, and then it was Joe Bob when he was on TNT.
Yeah,
after a
Monster
while.
Vision. Yeah.
Wow. So those are real instrumental in like expanding my outlook and like horror. And then I worked at the video store when I was in high school. So when I started working at the video store, I just would start at A, and every summer I'd start at A and just rent 8 movies.
Wow.
And that would get me through like 3 days, because I'd double night feature it every night. And then I just go from A to Z, and whatever we got, I just watched everything. And then I got to the point where I was like, okay, now I'm done with horror and sci-fi. Let's go to these other films now. And that's how I got into like other cinema as well too, world cinema. It was, and then a friend of mine told me, he goes, there's this thing called AFI, and they have like 100 greatest movies ever made. He goes, you should check that out too. And I was like, sure, let's do that.
You're like, all right, I've already seen all of them.
Well, there were a bunch of them on there that I was like, oh, like I don't know where that's at. Let's go to The Warehouse. Remember The Warehouse?
I do remember The Warehouse.
Because that's where you could find those movies at. Yeah. We didn't have like a Zia Records back then. Circles. I used to go to Circles in downtown Phoenix. Man, your audience is going to be like, this old man on this show. This old man on this show.
People outside of Arizona are going to be like, well, what in the hell are you talking about?
Gotta visit Arizona to know what it's all about. I mean,
I don't even think any of that stuff's still around.
I mean, like, that's why like a place like Zia Records is it's so personal to me, because it's a place. I'm such a physical media guy.
Yeah.
Like, I always tell people, when the apocalypse happens and there's no more streaming, I'm going to be the wealthiest man in the apocalypse, because I'll have all the movies.
I used to be no physical media.
Yeah.
I had like all of it, and then I sold it, and then I think I have like 400 movies on iTunes.
Did you sell it to make a movie?
No, I sold it I think I sold it because I was just broke.
Oh, okay.
Though surprisingly though, the first movie I made was a romantic comedy.
Oh.
There was no horror in it at all. Yeah, no.
You should like splice the two together somehow.
Probably why nobody wanted to watch it. They're just like, what?
Man, well, speaking of films and making movies, like we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, Monte, you are the festival director of the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival, happening right here in Phoenix, Arizona. First of all, when is it happening?
So our film festival takes place April 4th through the 14th.
So it's right around the corner.
Right around the corner. Everything happens at Harkins Scottsdale 101 Theaters, which is out in North Scottsdale, Phoenix area. But the cool part is you don't have to drive to different theaters at all. We close down one whole side of the Harkins theaters, and all of that side of the theaters is focused on programming for the festival.
That's so exciting. And we were talking about a little bit before where, a lot of times horror and sci-fi doesn't really get a place at the table for film festivals. It's just not really, top of mind for or maybe they're just not viewed as, strongly as other films. So this is really exciting, especially people that love horror and sci-fi, or maybe people that are curious about it.
Yeah. We curate, we work in collaboration with the Phoenix Film Festival. So it looks like, the Phoenix Film Festival is happening here. Well, yes, the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival is happening at the same time. And anything in the evenings, we also have stuff that plays during the Phoenix Film Festival as well too. But most of the time after 7 p.m., it's all programming for horror sci-fi. We have a couple theaters that just are specifically for horror and sci-fi films for anything that we curate. And it's awesome because I always tell people that this is a great opportunity to see movies that you may never see again, or movies that you'll say, I saw that 2 years ago at this film festival. And it's such a great thing. And everybody that shows up to the film festival, they're all movie fans. So it's always great to walk around and mingle with people. And I always tell people, I always meet someone brand new at the film festival every year where I'm like, wow, I would have never have thought that you and I would have the same movie taste. But for some reason, there's last year it was the same thing. There was an older guy who came in, and I'd never seen him at the film festival before, but he had to be in his 70s. And he was sitting there at every single horror film that was playing. And finally, after a couple of days, I said, hey, man, I see you at these things. I said, how's it going? What do you love? He deep cut so many movies. He said, I love horror, all this stuff. And now he's a consistent guy that comes back every year.
That's incredible.
Pretty great. So it's a lot of fun. I got in, I was at the first Phoenix Film Festival in the audience watching movies because I was really interested in filmmaking as well too. I've done a lot of short films and music videos, and I just finished my first feature in 2022, shot all in LA. We can talk about that at a later date.
We're going to talk about us today.
But I sat in the audience at the Phoenix Film Festival, and I was like, this is amazing. These are my people. Yeah. And after a few years that I was going, somebody asked me, hey, do you want to volunteer? I said, sure, I'll volunteer. What do you want me to do? And I started as a volunteer, and about 9 years ago, they asked me if I wanted to be festival director. And I was like, this is a dream. I love it. So we work with a lot of distributors. We have a bunch of different areas. So we have a competition section. So filmmakers from across the U.S. can submit their movies, feature and short films, and we have programs where they compete. So we have 3 films in our horror competition, 3 films in our sci-fi competition. Those are features. And then we have A and B programs for sci-fi. So there's a lot of different things that you can see. Yeah. And we have, for our short films, we have well over 500 submissions that we have to whittle down to 20-something films. I
couldn't there'd be no way I'd be allowed to be the person that picks what movies play at a festival. I would just be
I give my team a lot of credit. My buddy for many years now, Danny Marianino, is my horror shorts programmer. So he does all of our short film programming. My buddy Brandon Kitchen is the guy that does our features, and then my buddy Mike Stackpole does the program for shorts and for features. So these guys put together, they've been doing it since well before I was even involved at the film festival, and they have such unique tastes, and what they're looking for is a nice balance, right? So of course they're looking for the best films, but they're also looking at that. What's going to play well? What's going to work here? You can't have 10 vampire films, right? You got to have a mix of everything. And then my job in programming is I work with the distributors for our showcase film. So showcases are movies that already have found distribution, or movies that are on their way to distribution, or they've been picked up by somebody. So we work with Shudder, Neon, XYZ, Screenbox, all these different places, and we are able to curate this great set of showcase films that hopefully people will get to see. A lot of times they see them, but we've had some great films play in the past. I tell people one of my favorite festival moments was standing in the hallways begging people to stay for One Cut of the Dead. when One Cut of the Dead came out, and I don't know if have you guys seen that movie?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but it's like I know what it is. Yeah,
I love this movie. I love it so much, and just waiting in the audience and telling people, I know it feels like a terrible movie, but I promise you it gets better. And begging them to stay for like the movie, and then hearing the cheers, the eruption of cheers afterwards. Or my absolute favorite moment too is traumatizing a group of film goers with the Greasy Strangler. And not telling anybody about it. We couldn't share the trailer because it was too intense for our website. And everybody was like, what's this Greasy Strangler movie? And I said, oh, you'll love it. You'll love it. Go ahead. You'll love it. I still have people come up to me and they're like, I can't believe you made me watch that movie.
Oh, man.
Why is it so bad?
Oh, Greasy Strangler is one of the, you're either going to absolutely love it and think it's hilarious, or you're going to think it's the worst thing in the world.
Okay.
But it's a story basically about a guy who covers himself in grease, an old man who covers himself in grease and kills people.
Okay.
And he does it completely nude.
So he's like a slippery to can't catch him.
And it's ridiculously inappropriate. There are so many awful things that happen in this movie. And it's full frontal nudity of an old man.
You know what? It's about time there's something for, there's always boobs everywhere.
We were talking about extending out those age demos, right?
That's
Let's
right.
have an elderly killer covered in grease and completely naked.
Rare exports.
Some people like that.
Rare exports
is
I remember you
amazing.
saying
Just
yes.
a ton of old naked dudes running around in the movie. I'm like, what is this?
Yep.
You know what? They missed their chance being at the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival here. You're talking about, so many submissions, 500 submissions just for the shorts. It has to take a lot of time and dedication for you guys to be able to put something on like this and of this, this gravity. Like that's an incredible achievement. How do you guys, is it once this film festival is done this year, you're automatically planning for next year? How does it work?
Submissions open pretty quickly right after our festival's over, and we leave that festival window open, the submission window open until about December. And then we close it. And then the day we close it, we start distributing out all these movies to the different people that are going to watch it. And I always tell people, it's not just one person who watches your movie when you submit. There's like a team of people who watch your movie. And if it ever gets to the point where they're like, we aren't unsure about this, then a larger team comes in and watches it as well too. But we do give a lot of feedback, and I know it's difficult. No one wants to have their film turned down from a film festival. I've had many movies turned down from film festivals.
Mine was turned out from the Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival.
It's not a good feeling, right? It's not a good feeling.
I was like, whatever. I get it.
Before I became festival director, I submitted the film and it got turned down.
Yeah.
And then once I got in the role, I started to say to myself, the competition, man, it's like the competition is so,
especially now since it's like
everybody has
when
the
I
access.
was when I was trying to get into filmmaking, it was like 20 years ago, and it was like you had to buy the right cameras and equipment, so it was harder to make a movie back then. But now you can just grab your phone and go and make a movie, and
they're shooting professional movies and music videos on just your phone, which is incredible.
Yeah.
It's awesome because it opens it up for content makers and for creators, so it is a lot more accessible. But to your point, then there's a lot more people who have this dream, and it does take a lot. People don't realize the sacrifice that goes into creating and to being able to do it. So it is, and it's incredible to be able to have a space, and to be able to actually get in front of people. And I was going to say, I haven't been to a lot of film festivals, but the one I was at, it was so amazing to be able to hear from the creators themselves, hear their process and just be able to have those conversations with them. I don't think you really get that access really anywhere else.
No, and that's the best thing about our film festival is a lot of filmmakers come with their movies. So I believe all of our feature filmmakers for horror and sci-fi will be there. And I think a wealth of the short filmmakers will be there as well too. So it's an awesome thing. We do Q&As afterwards, everything. So it's really great to sit there and be like, hey, tell us why you made this movie. Tell us why this means so much. And you can hear the passion, you hear the joy, you hear the struggle, right? Yeah. And you're a filmmaker. No one goes out to make a bad movie. I will never agree with that. I will never agree with that term. But it's maybe now. I don't know. But it is the toughest thing. And there's always a week of film leading up to the film festival where it's just hard. I feel bad, as a filmmaker myself, and understanding that we have to send out these, denial requests and everything. But at the same time, it's also one of these things where I feel really great that some of these filmmakers do have the opportunity to showcase their movies, and they are going to be there so passionately with their movies. And it's great. And I think for an audience member, when they're coming to a film festival, that's one of the best parts is you get to chat with the filmmakers and ask them why they made this movie and talk
It's almost
with them.
like it's like almost discovering a band before they get signed. I knew this filmmaker before he.
It's like when
Marvel
it's
movie.
like when you put a song on your MySpace before it started playing on the radio, and you're like,
Yeah.
Wow.
"I'm so cool." You speaking of like all the submissions and things like that, are there, so for anyone who is hearing about this and they're filmmakers out there, maybe they have a film. What's the criteria or what are the rules to be able to submit? Have you ever had anyone that maybe was denied one year, maybe they made some changes or they did some tweaks to it, and then they were able to get in another year, or like how does that work?
So the way it works is when we do submissions for short films, they have to be under a certain length.
Okay.
And that I do not know the length. I have to look it up.
You know what? Where can they go to look it up? Are the
they can
rules?
go to phoenixfilmfestival.com and look at the submission rules on our webpage. But it has to be under a certain length. It has to be made within a certain time period as well too. So like any film that was made 10 years ago isn't eligible to be submitted because it's past that window of time for it to be put out. For our feature films, we don't really have a criteria as to how it works. Again, if you submit an NC-17 or X-rated film, it's going to be hard to get into a film festival with that kind of movie. But again, we don't have really a criteria for the content that's in there. So we love challenging movies, we love fun movies, we love gory movies, we love not so gory movies. It's all for us about the narrative and the content that you're giving us, and we really try hard to curate something really great at the film festival every year.
Yeah, and like you're saying, that's such a diverse showing too. Like, you know what I mean? For anyone that loves creature features, like you're saying, and you're going to be able to get a little bit of that. Can you give a little preview or like talk about a couple of the films that are going to be in this year for anyone who might be interested? Don't have tickets yet?
I brought all my notes here,
Yeah,
so we
see?
can definitely talk about it. So
Somebody brought notes.
so
Not us. That's why we bring in the expert.
So I'll talk about our showcase, right? Our showcase, again, are the movies that we're kind of handpicking from different distributors. Our opening night film is a movie called What You Wish For. You'll recognize a star in there. Nick Stahl is actually in this movie. He plays a culinary expert who is kind of on the outs and not really doing great in his company, and decides that he's going to go to take a little retreat. And while he's on this retreat, he finds a job that gets him into some interesting culinary arts. It's a crowd pleaser.
It's like the opposite of chef.
Yeah, but for those for people that like the menu that came out last year, this film's a crowd pleaser. It's a lot of fun. It's really great to see Nick Stahl in something again. I love him from Sin City. I think he's really great in Sin City. We have a really funny comedy that has a really long name. It's called Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person.
Okay. We've got a paragraph for a title. I like that.
And it's a story about a young girl who is a vampire, and she ends up getting cut off from her blood supply by her family because they want her to go out and hunt for her food, and she can't do it. She doesn't want to do it. So she's looking for a consenting suicidal person. And it's just really cool, like coming of age story that it kind of happens all in one night.
She's like a Nepo vampire.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not working for my blood. No, absolutely not.
It's a really well done movie, though. I'll mention a few more of there. We have one of our first animes that we're playing this year. So it's not really a horror sci-fi film, but we like... Sometimes people don't know where to put an anime, and I'm like, animes exist. We'll take it. We can call it fantasy. We can call it something, genre. But it's this film called The Concierge. It's an anime that is about a world full of animals that are trying to operate in this mega city. But it's really, really well done anime, and bring your kids. It's a fun movie.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I like that. Yeah. So family friendly.
Family friendly,
I think too, like we were talking about before, before you keep on talking about that. Like what I love is that, it's so eclectic, and that, there is horror stuff or sci-fi, like you're talking about, that is also good for the whole family, which I think a lot of people don't think about. Minds have been changed a little bit. We have like a little bit more, but there are some that are good out there. So like that's actually really interesting.
Yeah. It's hard to depends on what your parenting style is.
True.
But,
yeah. My aunt showed me Hellraiser at 5. So
I remember
it's not the best.
I forgot what it was. I think it might have been like Saw or something, but I was like, my oldest kid, he was like maybe 13 at the time, and I told him, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna watch this tonight, and she's like, is there any nudity in it? I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, she's like, okay, yeah, and then I'm like, why are we? there's guts literally coming out of people's bodies in this movie. Like, why would it like?
That's one of the most
so it's
horrific films.
like whatever. But parents out there, hey, Friday the 13th, part 6 is the only Friday the 13th with no nudity. In case you
It's fun
are
trivia
worried about
fact.
that, so yeah, just dive on in. I kind of there came to a point. I still shield my youngest, but I kind of I just gave up after a while. I'm like, just watch it. Because I'm like, if it's you have the internet, you have access to the internet, just watch whatever you want. So there's still like a couple. There's like some horror movies I'm still like, I don't know. But we watch Terrifier, so it's like once you see Terrifier, you've seen everything. There's pretty much yeah.
I was in Colorado and it was snowing, and I watched Terrifier 2 by myself in a giant theater. And when I walked out of this, it's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours or something like that. I walked out of this theater and they had closed it. Oh. And when I walked out, I was like, where is everybody at? I couldn't see any, no one was there. No one was like, I'm like, there has to be somebody here. There's somebody watching me right now. I know it. So, but I walked out, it was completely dark, and I just walked out. I said, anything could have happened in here. Like, I could have just gone missing in the snow. They could have just said he lost in the snow.
The movie theater was closed.
Yeah.
They just left you, and then
all the lights were off. Everything was off. I know someone had to be there, right? There had to be a projectionist running the film, but none of the staff were there, and it was like a pretty fancy movie theater.
That's terrifying.
There was nobody at the concession stand, nobody in the cleaning up.
Oh no!
It was just completely empty.
Yeah. Speaking of Terrifier, Damien Leone, they're filming Terrifier 3 right now. Oh. He tweeted today, I can honestly say we have just filmed one of the most insanely horrific scenes of the franchise. And if you've seen the movies, you can only imagine what he's talking about.
I get a little worried about people that write stuff like that.
He said, you'll never believe who couldn't handle it on set. The behind the scenes is hilarious.
All right, so maybe we'll see that at the next international horror and sci-fi film.
Maybe.
But there's a few more films that you wanted to go over.
I'll review just a couple here. We have a South Korean film called Sleep that is about a sleeping disorder.
I'm in.
With a
you had me at South Korean film.
With a pregnant wife, and her husband has a sleeping disorder, and he does really bad things when he's asleep. So really, really well, isolated.
Okay, I already have questions about that one, so I'm
great.
like, oh, okay.
Dude, anytime I've seen any South Korean horror movies on Netflix, it's so good. Yeah, they're great.
Incredible. And we've talked about this too. International films, so many people are just like, they don't have their mind open to it, but you're missing out on a lot of incredible films. Like if you're just like, oh, I have to, it's like dubbed, or I have to watch, I have to read the subtitles or whatever. There are so many absolutely unique stories. A lot of people complain about oh, it's the same story here over and over, or remakes or whatever. The international scene is where it's at, because they're absolutely coming out with some. That's incredible. That's incredible. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
I think the last one I'll talk about with Showcase is a film that we have called The Lonely Man with the Ghost Machine. It is the director that we've had at the film festival, an alumni. His name's Graham Skipper. You may know him from he's been in a lot of movies. He's been in a ton of movies. He's a really recognizable face, but he's been in a lot of stuff. But Graham, this is his I believe his 3rd or 4th film, something like that. But I got to give him his props, man. He has continued to grow as a filmmaker every single year. We played a film of his a few years ago called Sequence Break, which was really great. This one, Lonely Man with the Ghost Machine, is a really grief-stricken trauma film, but also a really, really interesting perspective on how the supernatural and the sci-fi can kind of connect together. And it's really well done.
He was in VFW.
He was in VFW,
I just watched that the other night.
Do you recognize him?
I don't know. I might. I think I do.
But if you look at his credit list, he's been in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now, Monte, you were talking about that this is a separate film festival from Phoenix Film Festival, but it's working in conjunction together.
Correct.
So for anyone who doesn't have tickets yet, do they have to buy for the whole week, a weekend? How does it work? Where do they go? What are the different ways that they're able to also enjoy the horror and sci-fi festival?
So everything can be found on phoenixfilmfestival.com. On the website, it gives a breakdown of different prices for different tickets. So if you want to go full out, you can get our Platinum Pass, which gets you access to everything. Not only the movies, not only everything on horror on the Phoenix Film Festival and the International Horror and Sci-Fi side. And again, there is no separate ticket for either one.
Okay.
It's one ticket for the entire event. But if you want to see every single movie, 60-something films, I think is the record that we have at the film festival.
Has anybody ever watched every and
Is it even
everything?
possible?
attended it and been able to watch everything?
Not everything, no.
They're going from theater to theater to theater.
I believe we have it at one point. We have 6 theaters playing movies at the same time. But they can go to the website. We have something called a Flex Pass, which gets you 4 films for a cheaper price. We have a Super Flex Pass, which gets you 10 films. And then we have a Festival Pass, and then we have a VIP Pass, and then we have a Platinum Pass.
Okay.
So depending on how big you want to go, you can go giant and get access to everything, which is our opening night film for the Phoenix Film Festival, which comes with a pre-show hors d'oeuvres and food and all kinds of stuff.
That's nice.
And then our big opening night film, which is a movie called Sing Sing from A24. Not really the horror. It's not a horror film at all, but it has. You can go to everything. We have lots of events. So we have an industry night that we do there where local filmmakers can show up and talk and chat. And there's a lot of resources that are available for them there. We have a film prom with a DJ.
What?
We play different. We play. We have different themes for our parties.
Yeah.
We have a kids day. So our kids day is the first weekend as well too. Is Saturday morning is our kids day.
Okay.
So that's the 4th, 5th, the 6th. And our kids day is just an opportunity to get the kiddos there to kind of see how green screen works and how costume design works and how makeup works and all these little pieces.
That's really cool.
We try really hard. We're a nonprofit organization, so we have to look at different ways on how we can not only show films, but also educate and provide some outreach to the communities. We have a film camp that happens for young people as well too during the film festival. So if they want to go to a film camp, they can do that. It's a great time. So I always tell people if you get the Flex Pass and you really love it, you'll probably end up getting another Flex Pass because you'll be addicted to it. But it's a great time.
Little session that's R-rated horror for kids.
Yeah. Right? There you go.
So with the passes and different things like that, if you get a platinum or a VIP, does that mean that you're guaranteed to go into the showings that you want? Or do you still have to get the individual tickets for the movies? Because, sometimes they can sell out pretty quickly. Or how does, what would be your insider tip for that?
The insider tip would be if you're going for one of those giant VIP festival tickets, once you get it, you can go to the box office and pick every movie that you want to watch.
Okay.
Our festival office is open a few days before the festival actually starts. So you can come inside there, pick all your movies, and have everything early.
Oh, okay.
Now the trick, and I do tell people the trick is once you get your tickets, go into the Harkins theaters because now assigned seating is a big thing at every theater now. So go inside there with your ticket, take it to the little box office representative, give it to them, and pick your seat for every movie for the whole week before you wait. So if you wait till this movie's not till next Saturday.
Front row.
I'm gonna wait to get my ticket, and you go there, you'll end up being front row.
I do like the assigned seat, but there's a little tiny part of me that's I kind of miss waiting 8 hours in line for a Star Wars movie.
Oh no, you are in the minority, sir.
Just a little bit. I guess it's the nostalgia of it all. Just man, I wish I missed just waiting in line.
I'm sure you still can go wait in line right now for the festival.
Okay, I'll go wait right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And you said that you're a nonprofit. For anyone that wants to support you, is the best way to be able to support is by attending? Is there other ways, talking about volunteering and different things like that?
We love people to attend. We do have a volunteer open portal for people to put their names in to be volunteers. Coming over and just supporting by watching movies is a really, really big thing that you can do. We do have a donation tier that you can go to as well too.
Okay.
Where if you wanted to give a donation to the film festival, you can. That does come with some perks, either a festival pass or something that guarantees you into the next year's film festival, depending on how much you give as your donation. But I always tell people the best thing you can do is just come watch movies.
Absolutely.
Because that's for at least for me and the team that we have at the festival, we're a lot of volunteers. A lot of us do it because we love movies. And there is a large group of people. There's a large group of people that make this come together. It's not just one person. Like I even tell people, they say, "Oh, Monte, you do such a great job with the film festival." No. We do a lot of great job with the film festival because there's no way that I could put this together. It takes a lot of really, really talented people who are giving their free time to watch these movies and make judgments on it and working with a large group of people to help put it together. Yeah. So we have the best volunteers in the world, and I'm really proud of them. I love seeing them at the festival because I know that they're giving the most important commodity for me, which is their time. So absolutely. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, wonderful group of people, and it makes me happy that I can be involved with such a great group of people.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we are going to talk a little bit about movies, but before we get into that, because we want your expert opinion on some movies that we watched. Nice little bow. Where can people go? When is it? And how do they get tickets?
April 4th through the 14th, Harkins Scottsdale 101 Theater. You can go to phoenixfilmfestival.com to find everything you want. The schedule's on there, the virtual program's on there, the ticket link is there. You can buy your tickets online. You can look at all the parties that are available there. That's everything. phoenixfilmfestival.com is where you should go. And if you do come to the film festival, come over and say, "Hey, Monte, what's going on?" Because I love when we get new people to the film festival. Oh my gosh.
Well, we love having you on. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Definitely.
Super excited. And yeah, it truly takes so many people to be able to do this, and it's just a wonderful time to be able to share the love and discover new things, and to be able to give a platform to people who've worked so hard on their things as well. So, I know, Tony, you've been chomping at the bit. You're like, I have so many movies to talk about.
Oh my God, I watched a lot of movies. Well, we got a couple of things first. First, we do have a major announcement.
Oh,
major.
Okay.
This is major.
We got inside. You're going to get insider information here.
Yeah, this is.
I don't even know do I know this?
Yeah.
Oh, I do.
yeah, you do.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
I was so excited about the festival.
As of today, well, when this episode releases, April 1st, we are officially part of the horrorpress.com podcast network.
What does that mean, Tony, for anyone that doesn't know?
Basically, what it means for anybody listening is nothing really changes for you. We're still going to get episodes of Scaredycast every Monday. Nothing's really changing show-wise. It just means that we are now going to be promoted and hosted on horrorpress.com. It's a place to find all your horror movie news, reviews, articles, lists, conversations. There's other podcasts there as well. We just kind of have like a home now. We're not just out here
floating in the ether,
floating by ourselves, shooting flare guns up in the air, saying, "Hey,
we're here."
But yeah, it
That's
means
exciting.
they're going to we have like a whole new set of eyes and ears that are going to be able to find us and listen to us and hopefully help us grow.
You know what's so funny is Tony was telling us about, he's like, "Oh, I got this call coming up. But like, the guy's he's going to listen to some podcasts. Just make sure that we're not complete assholes." And I was like, so I'm glad that we passed the test, because it was a little iffy depending on what episodes we're like, we fly by the seat of our pants.
I think we'll be okay.
We're not assholes. We're not as professional as some podcasts.
Oh God, no. We're no murderous affairs.
Well, I think the best part about your team is the fact that you guys all have your own little personality, right? And I think on every podcast there is that one person that you kind of connect with a little bit more so than somebody else. I probably connect most with you recently because of the wrestling.
Oh God, I love wrestling.
But before that, I used to tell people it was great. It's such a nice variety of hosts that you guys have here, and that's a hard thing to balance. I think that's the hardest thing with any kind of podcast is finding that good balance of knowledge. I mean, I love your spooky stories. I love your updates. Yeah.
Thank you. And we didn't even have to pay you to say that.
No, not at all. That was a free one.
If we did, you'd be waiting a long time for that. I'm just kidding. Thank you so much. That's so kind. Oh my gosh. You know what? We do talk about a lot that we just love each other. You know what I mean? And I think that comes across. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
So anytime you're looking for some horror news or reviews, articles, horror, anything, just go to horrorpress.com. They are our parents now, I guess you could say.
Oh my gosh, we have parents now. Yeah. We're not orphans anymore, Tony.
We're not.
Yay.
All right, let's get into some movie reviews. Oh my God, where's my list?
Okay, yes.
I'm going to try to just crank these out real quick. I'm going to crank them out over 60 seconds so I can hit that nice TikTok algorithm, because I know you'll love that.
Dang.
First up, we did go see Late Night with the Devil. We're gonna save that for when Brian gets here because he saw it with us. But I loved it. My only complaint I would say about Late Night with the Devil is the ending seemed to kind of go off the rails a little bit because the whole movie is like, this is the master tape of this late night show mixed with some behind the scenes footage. And then the end of the movie didn't seem like it was either of that anymore. It seemed like you're just watching a movie. And I'm like, wait a minute, like this. Who's running the, like, there's a part where like people flee the studio, spoilers. And you're like, who's running the camera? Like, if this is supposed to be the master tape of the recording that night, why is the camera? And then I guess maybe it's like, oh, the demon's running the show now or something. I don't know.
I agree. I thought again, we're not going to spoil it, and we're going to go into the deep dive when Brian is back. But the very, very end, I really liked that. Right before it got to the very, very end, I was like,
Oh yeah, so it's opposite for you.
Well, I mean, like the very last like seconds of it.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like the part that you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm on board with it. Like, I'm same. Have you seen? Did you see it?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I kind
enjoyed
of
it.
agree with you guys. I really liked it though. I'm a big fan of David.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Dash Mulchin.
I love him.
He's one of those actors that's like, if you're watching a movie and he shows up in that movie,
Like,
the movie like is instantly like, oh, this just got better just because he's in this.
He's so
like,
good.
Oh god, yeah.
he was in Boogeyman. He was fantastic, and he didn't even have that big of a role. Like, he really doesn't. This has been. Now I'm gonna. Anyways, this was like this was. In my mind, this is his first feature. Like, his first feature film as like the main actor, right? Is this his first one or no? Or at least the one I've seen as a lead.
I think so.
Yeah, and like, so for a lot of the movies I've seen him in, his part has been pretty minimal, and he is just incredible. And like, you know, I mean, he just steals the screen, steals the movie, and so I'm just super excited. I agree. I think he was absolutely incredible, and I thought it was an amazing movie. So you guys are gonna have to tune in next week for our full review. But you heard it here from the expert. So
the next movie on my list, Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire.
Ooh.
Yeah. Did you guys see the trailer?
I did.
I seen
You
I
saw
saw the
the
trailer.
movie?
I saw the trailer.
I think I did see the trailer where it's like the ice is coming.
You saw the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. What would you rate it?
I gave it a 2 out of 5.
No. Oh, I thought you were going to say 2 out of 10. I was like, no.
No, 2 out of 5. These are all gonna be out of 5s. 2 out of 5. Yeah, like the main ghost villain is super cool.
Okay.
But literally
like
what
literally
you see
cool?
in the trailers, what you see of that of it, like it shows up at the very end of the movie and it's on screen for like 30 seconds and then it's like
It's really cool to see the retro Ghostbusters, right, show up. The original Ghostbusters show up, and they all show up, and it's fun. It's fun. But at the same time, I'm like, did they really need to be here in this one? I don't feel like they needed to.
Like,
And
they
then-
didn't utilize them right?
Yeah, and then you know, no disrespect to the filmmaker, he did some pretty amazing things, but you can definitely feel a difference in tone, right? The filmmaker from the first one is different than this one, and there definitely is a little bit of misplaced, some misbalance with that as well too. And as the characters get older, you got this like new weird family relationship, and like Paul Rudd's so good. He's such a charismatic guy that part of me just felt like, just let him go with it. Just let him go. Like it felt like he was so restrained at times. I'm like, just let him be that charismatic guy. Yeah.
This is maybe a mild spoiler. My biggest, it's not much of a complaint because I get it, but I was really hoping Rick Moranis would appear. Like just in the smallest of roles. That would have been amazing. Just to have him. I just miss Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was hoping he'd make a cameo, but he didn't. Maybe
the next one. They're going to hear this and they're going to be like, you know what?
You know what?
You know what Tony said?
I don't think we need another one.
You know what Tony said?
Well, you never know. I mean, the next one could be.
I think we're okay now.
Okay.
We're good now.
Right.
Next one I watched on the list is VFW. If you guys know what a VFW is, it's kind of like an American Legion.
Okay.
These old dudes. These are all old dudes who are like actors from like the 80s and 70s, like rough and tough dudes, you know. They're just hanging out at their VFW one night, and a girl comes running in. She has stolen the drugs of a crazy drug dude that his headquarters is like right across the street.
Beautiful.
And he sends his minions in there after him. They're like zombies basically, but they're just like on this drug.
Okay.
It reminded me a lot of like early 80s action grindhouse kind of movies, like Death Wish, you know, like that kind of stuff is super violent. This guy gets shot with a shotgun and his whole body literally just explodes. Like it's like that. There's a bunch of like crazy one-liners. It's got George Wendt, who played Norm on Cheers. Mm-hmm. It's got Fred Williamson. It's got
Stephen Lang.
Yes. It's got oh my God, my brain. It's just Martin Kove.
Martin Kove, yep.
From Cobra Kai, Karate Kid. But yeah, Stephen Lang. So he's the bad guy in Avatar. Mm-hmm. He was in Don't Breathe.
Yep.
And like, I thought this guy just appeared on the scene in Avatar. Because like, he's like got that face where you're like, I know this guy.
Yeah.
But he seems new. He's in Tombstone. He's the guy that plays Ike in Tombstone. Like, that blew my mind. I'm like, holy crap, this is the same guy. Anyways, VFW, I gave it 2.5 out of 5. So it's just right in the middle. You know, like
directed by Joe Bigos. Yeah. Joe Bigos has done some really awesome movies. His style is very much metal meets horror, heavy metal meets horror. But he's done a few movies so far that are really, really good. He did a movie called Bliss, which is a vampire film about a painter and artist who gets this fever and needs to give into it. But it's really well done. Great lead performance there. He did a Christmas movie last year that was on Shudder. I'm going to forget the name of it, but I can look that up real quick.
Is it Santastein?
No.
I keep getting told to watch Santastein, and I'm like, oh, I got it on the list for Christmas.
Santastein. It's like Frankenstein?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, Joe Bigos did Christmas, Bloody Christmas.
Oh.
That came out a couple years back, 2022, about a robot Santa that comes to life and goes on a killing spree.
Oh my God, I need to watch
fantastic.
that.
Yeah, you do.
It's right up my alley.
Yeah.
All right,
That is a Tony movie if I've ever heard one.
There is a connection. Oh, he did a movie a few years ago about telepathy killers. It's called The Mind's Eye. Oh. The Mind's Eye is really low budget, takes place in the snow, and it's all scanners-ish kind of stuff, but it's really good. Bigos is a really great director. I think he does a great job.
I mean, VFW, I went in expecting like that straight to video kind of vibe, but it was like, oh, this should have been like movie theaters. Yeah. Like it's good. Wow. It's well made.
You mentioned Stephen Lang, and there's a film festival connection. Stephen Lang's son is a producer. His name's Noah Lang. Mm-hmm. And this, by accident, we programmed 3 of his films this year.
Oh, wow.
So Noah Lang has these 3 films that are playing back to back to back. Wow. One of them is a horror film called Creepbox that'll be playing on our second Friday. Okay. And pretty awesome that Stephen Lang's son is this.
I'm going to watch it.
Really well done. Festival. Yeah. It's a really, really cool movie.
All right. Creepbox.
He's going to, you're going to have end up having like a theater named after him in the future. Like, how does he even have the time to do 3? That's incredible. That's a feat in itself. It's
not all horror films. He does one that's like, it's a drama. He has this horror film. And then he has this one that's a whole lot different. But
you know what? That's too much talent for one person to have. Yeah. Okay. Let's save some for the rest of it. Wow. That's incredible. So that's like, it's like passed in the blood, you know?
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
The next movie I watched, I didn't just watch this one. I got elevated, so you could say. And if you are a member of our Patreon, you get added. If you're on our tier 3 on our Patreon, we add you to the close friends on our Instagram, and I reviewed the movie as I watched it on our Instagram.
Little live
close
review
friends.
action.
So if you saw my review on there, you know I was enjoying this movie. It's called Roar.
Yes.
You guys know Roar? Mm-hmm. Roar. If you don't know Roar, it was made back in 1981. Stars Melanie Griffith and Tippi Hedren. Tippi Hedren of Birdemic fame. It's basically about this family that just gets terrorized by lions and tigers and jaguars and an elephant.
And didn't they have real animals?
These were untamed lions and tigers and jaguars and cats, wild cats.
Real.
It seems like there's hundreds of them in this movie. At one point, they like pan wide, and there's just this house is covered in these cats. To give you a little taste, there's a part in this movie. Now, these are untamed animals. Mm-hmm. So whenever you see these actors like reacting to the animals, they're legit like
scared. They're like, I don't have to act. I'm scared.
There's this part where this guy, he comes on the boat to like pick up the dad. They're going to go somewhere, and like this panther just jumps on top of the boat and it's just like around him, and this guy's like You can tell this guy's not acting. Like he's just like, don't like this. Don't like what's happening right now. But like I'm trying not to like react.
Oh man.
All these lions and tigers bring pieces of a zebra into the house. And what does the mom say? What do you think she says, Kelsey?
Guess we're having zebra for dinner.
No, come on. Come on. It's right there.
Lost your stripes.
Look what the cat dragged in.
That was never going to come out of my mouth. Why didn't I think of that?
I'm going to rattle off some.
The cinematographer for that movie is Jan de Bont.
Mm-hmm.
He did Speed. He did Twister. He did Laura Croft Tomb Raider, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and did The Haunting. He did The Haunting.
Oh.
Speed and Twister.
1999, The Haunting.
Yeah. With Owen Wilson. Yeah. Speed and Twister. Probably the 2 greatest movies ever made.
Yeah. Back to Roar for a second. Every attack scene that you see in that movie is real.
Yes, that's
and like often ended with people being injured.
Jan de Bont,
didn't you talk about this before?
Jan de Bont was mauled by a lion and needed over 120 stitches to sew his scalp back into place.
I'm sorry, but if that's happening, like I'm like you have to finish the movie without me.
Melanie Griffith was mauled by a lion during filming and required plastic surgery, 50 stitches to her face. It was feared she was going to lose an eye, but she recovered.
The 80s were wild.
On another occasion,
everyone's just on cocaine and fighting real lions in movies.
On another occasion, a lion grabbed her hair and wouldn't let go, and the shot is in the movie. And I was watching. I'm like, that's real, because like this lion's grabbing her, and she's like, ah! Like I'm like, that's a real lion attack in this movie I'm watching right now.
The fact that this movie got done, like, is actually pretty incredible. You know my feelings about using animals in movies. Because we watched The Orca, and I thought I was losing my mind. I was losing my mind with that movie. So there's no way I could watch this.
How could you, Dumbledore?
Dumbledore is the worst human alive in that movie.
I like to show my kids movies where not my youngest kid, my oldest kid. I like to show him like, hey, you know that character from Harry Potter? Look what he was in. And I'll show like a trailer for a movie, and he's always like, "Oh my god!" And I like to find like the worst ones that they've been in.
Don't worship your heroes, you know? Yeah. Oh god, yeah, that movie traumatized me. Wow.
Yeah.
What'd you watch this on?
I own the Blu-ray.
Oh, you own it. Sorry, apologies, I missed that.
I bought this Blu-ray, and I'm like, because I was like, it was one of those movies. Was like, I need to own this while I can, for fear it'll never be able to out there again. So it's like,
okay. A lot of lions and tigers and everything running around. What is?
Oh, there's an elephant too. Don't forget the elephant.
Sorry, elephant.
There's a couple elephants in there.
I do love elephants.
Yeah.
But how do they find themselves in this situation? They're on safari. Like, what's going on?
Their dad just has his house with a bunch of lions and tigers and cats, and they come to visit him. But whenever they arrive, he's not there. So they're just like, "Oh shit, he's not here."
You think that'd be something you say? He's like, "By the way, I think
they were trying to surprise him. Oh. I think they were arriving like a day early or something to surprise him.
Did they know that the animals were there or no?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Like I said.
You were elevated.
I was elevated.
Okay.
It's wild to see Tippi Hedren in there because, that's the birds, that's Marnie. That's a lot of movies this woman has been in that are amazing. And then all of a sudden you're like, is that Tippi Hedren?
You're like, why?
Holy smokes, what's she doing in here?
Yeah, Roar, I gave 1 star.
Which is surprising because I think you would like that movie.
Listen, everybody should watch it at least once to experience this movie, but it's not a good movie.
My favorite part about this movie is I remember watching a trailer for it because they re-released it and they put this trailer out and it says, no animals were harmed in the making of this movie.
Yeah.
And then right underneath there it says 70 crew members were injured during this movie.
Just the humans.
It's pretty great.
Which is a lie. Because the animals died during the making of this movie.
Yep.
There was a flood and there were some casualties of animals on this movie.
Don't tell me that.
There were animals. There were people. There was a lot of death and injury in this movie.
You could have let the graphic lie to me, and so that I can.
It's all happy.
It's too late. It's too late, Tony. It's too late. I already know they died.
They were taken well care of during the production of that movie. I'm sure there was no come on now. None of that was happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The next movie I watched, almost watched all of it. It's called Imaginary.
With a bear.
With the bear.
Okay.
Blumhouse.
I know that Brian is really looking forward to this movie. He's been talking about it.
Is it? Yeah, really?
I thought he was.
I got 45 minutes in, and I was like, you know what? I'm out.
Man, you had a bad streak of
Dude,
movies.
I have
What made you why? Why?
Oh my God. I noticed this stuck out to me last night. It kind of dawned on me about Blumhouse horror movies. When they cast parents in these movies, are they always just like, we find the most attractive human beings on the planet?
Don't care if they can act at all.
I mean,
Can they act?
it's whatever.
Let me see the parents in this movie. Hold on. Let me see.
One of the dad in this movie, he played Jesus on The Walking Dead. But yeah, like it's just the most attractive parents in the world, and you're just like, these aren't real people. Not let alone parents. Like there's no
It's not fair.
They don't have any. They don't have those parent faces. Look at my face. You see it? This is a parent
That's
face.
a real
This is the
parent.
face of a parent.
It's a real parent.
Good
But
for you.
yeah, I just like the characters were just bugging me, and like there's a part of the movie where like it's like she's a stepmom and she's kind of like still trying to get along with the kids, you know, and like her 15-year-old the daughter, she's out in the yard talking to a new neighbor boy, and the mom like she just comes out there and like gets right in the middle of them. She's like, "Well, she's only 15, so." And like storms her back in the house, and it's like, well, this kid she's talking to, he looks like he's maybe 16. Like, you don't know how old he is. Like, chill out.
That was my grandma.
Chill
No
out.
boys allowed.
And also, it's just, look, not every horror movie needs to have like death and mayhem to kick it off. It helps. But after 45 minutes, and I'm still waiting for just something to go down, I was out.
You don't have a long patience stick with that.
I mean,
I can't not finish a film. I
have to
once I
finish it?
started, I finished.
I'm
it.
in the
I
same
can
boat.
only, there's only one movie I walked out of early. It was Harmony Korine's Trash Humpers.
Trash humpers?
Yeah, Harmony Korine's Trash Humpers. I
I
made
know you
it
want to watch that now.
I do. I
made
Harmony
it.
Korine, absolutely.
1 hour. I think it was 1 hour and I don't know, 15 minutes in, and I'm like, I can't handle this anymore. I'm out of here.
What made you? Okay, so you've never watched out of a movie before. What
It's
made
like-
you walk out of this
It's like
movie?
shot like on VHS, and it's just two people wearing elderly people masks, running around kicking things over, and humping,
To be fair.
humping trash cans.
To be
It's in the
fair.
title. I know.
To be fair, it's a Harmony Korine movie.
Yeah, yeah.
So going in, you got to be like, all right, what is this going to be? Because didn't like Harmony Korine like cast Gummo by going to like a Burger King or something in that town and just like grabbing random people from it, like something like that?
How
Yeah.
cool is that though? To be in like a small town, working at Burger King, and someone being like, "You want to be in a film?" And it's not like a casting couch situation type thing. So you're like, "Oh yeah,
It's the
actually,
only
it's a
movie.
real
That's the
film."
only movie I've ever walked out on.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not many. Like I try to stay with a movie as hard as I can, but like, this is the second movie too in the span of a month that I gave up on. Like the other one was Argyle.
Oh,
I
Argyle.
started
Okay.
Argyle, and it just like snapped in my head. Suddenly, I'm like, "What the fuck is this movie even about?" Like, I don't even know what's going on in this movie anymore.
You just spaced out.
So yeah, I just turned it off, and then like later that night, I'm like, I'm gonna go back in. I'm gonna see what happens, and then I started watching it again, and I'm sitting there watching it. And I'm just like, man, it's not getting any better. I was like, how much longer is this? And it was an hour still to go. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm out. Argyle, Imaginary. I'm not even giving a star.
You know, I'm going to give a recommendation for the director of Imaginary. He did one of my favorite slashers from the 2000s, Cry Wolf.
I remember Cry Wolf. Yeah.
I like that movie quite a bit.
Is it good?
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
really great. It's a underrated slasher.
All right.
One of those movies that just kind of was there, and
Wasn't it like an internet-y, like a
Kind
like
of, yeah.
something like a dude on the internet kind of thing?
he's great. A great outfit, a great,
Yeah.
great looking killer, and it's like I don't know. I just felt like it was really well done, and that was this director Jeff Wadlow's first film.
Okay.
Was this one Cry Wolf?
We need
Okay.
Monty here to have like the facts.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, like
Like,
we're like, I don't know what.
I watched this movie. Then
I'm the worst movie reviewer ever in the world. But before we wrap this up, I will talk about The Burbs because you've been asking me to watch this for a while.
Yes, I have.
It is on Netflix, and I actually really enjoyed it. It is star-studded.
Wait a second. First watch.
Herbs. Oh,
Trust me,
This
she's
is
barely watched
amazing.
anything.
This is amazing.
yes, yeah, it was incredible. Tom Hanks is in it.
Bruce Stern.
Also, what's the kid's name?
Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman. Yes. Carrie Fisher. Incredible. Which, that little trope of like, the husband and wife are like always bickering all the time.
What's his name? Nick Document?
Oh, yeah. The doctor.
No.
Or-
No, he's the neighbor.
The neighbor.
Oh, the neighbor, yeah. Yeah, so basically, Tom Hanks has the week off and, they're not sure what they want to do. He just wants to hang out around the house. He just wants to have 1,000 beers.
Smoke a cigar, have a beer or two, watch the game.
Yeah, exactly. He just wants to chill, which I 100% agree with him. His crazy neighbor comes over, eating all their food, doing all this stuff. And we start to find out that the neighbors are a little odd. He is out there one night hearing all these noises. There's a lot of light coming from their house. Nothing is growing on their house. Everything's dead. The grass is dead. The tree is dead. You don't ever see the neighbors. They never come out. And when they do, they only come out at night. So, bored people in the suburbs, or the people, we all have that neighbor that watches everything that you're just like, Jesus Christ. But it's a whole neighborhood of neighbors that are watching everything that you do and they don't care. It's a cul-de-sac. And so they're all just staring at each other. They all know each other's business all the time.
The Klopex. The
Klopex, yes. And
And if you've ever gone on the Universal Studios Hollywood tram tour, you've driven down that street.
What? How cool. Yeah. That's pretty
interesting. It's the same street from Desperate Housewives.
Yeah. Oh.
And
Wisteria Lane?
Yeah. It's the same
How do
street.
I know that? I don't know.
Yeah. Same street, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, back, they also used to have like all the houses there are like
facades.
Like from
some of them are, you can actually still film in some of them.
Yeah. Like some from like Leave It to Beaver. That Hulk movie with Eric Bana was like filmed on there too. Like there's a lot from those houses. But yeah.
Okay.
Kelsey, what's your favorite moment from that movie?
Oh.
If you can pick one, because I have many. One of mine that sticks out immediately is when Rumsfeld is on the roof of his house and Corey Feldman goes, "Yo, Rumsfeld."
And he's like,
and he trips and falls and shoots the window out of his car. Corey Feldman's friend is Nicky Katt, who's in The Dark Knight.
Oh.
He plays a character in The Dark Knight that completely ruins that movie for me.
Well, a lot of things are in that movie. We're not going to go down that lane. Okay, obviously I love anytime that the dog is in there and she's the famous dog.
The famous dog.
Yeah, Precious from
Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
And she's in Batman Returns.
She's a star. I love her.
She's a star.
R.I.P.
Do you like the music when the dog starts running? The music goes like...
Yeah, it's really cute. I also really like when they're gardening out front. I love that the like Vietnam veteran neighbor has like this smoking hot wife and that Corey Feldman is just hitting on her all the time. Like it's in front of everybody, does not care.
I should have worn my shirt. I have like 5 Burb shirts, but I have one that says War Machine and it's him with his wife. Like,
okay. Yeah. So basically just so we can get out of here. They just get each other all hyped up because there was, a lot of craziness that happened to the neighbors before this family moved in. Obviously, this family's really weird. They don't know a lot about them. They start to kind of uncover some things, and then their minds just go wild, and they hype each other up. Gets really crazy. They do a lot of crazy things, and it gets to the point where you're like, please. But then there's a little twist at the end that I thought was really good, and I really liked it. So I will say I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to because those usually aren't my type of movies. But I'd probably give it like a 6 or 7. I enjoyed it. I thought it was 10. Good. Yeah, out of 10. Yeah. So and Tom Hanks, I just love him, and like seeing his like early days too. It's really. Oh, my favorite part is where he goes crazy at the end because he just. Okay, well, I don't want to give any spoilers.
It's okay.
Okay, well, he's in the house and it blows up. I'm not going to give spoilers of why that happens. And then he comes walking out, and then
the way he comes down those stairs, how he just like slides down the stairs.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And then I like how he's yelling at his neighbor. He's like, "You did this to me. Like I would have done this. It wouldn't be in this situation. Like we're crazy. They're not the crazy ones. We're the crazy ones." And he points his finger at him, and it's like all bandaged up. And then his neighbor just bites his finger. And I was like, okay, yeah, it was funny. I really liked it. So it's on Netflix right now. For anyone who hasn't seen it, I definitely recommend it.
I love anything with Rumsfeld in that movie.
Oh my,
anything with
Rumsfeld.
Dude, the part where they're like, it's Rumsfeld and Art and Ray's in the house, and like they're like asking if he can come out, and Carrie Fisher's is like, no, and they like just look at the ground and like kind of kick at it like they're just two kids asking if their friend can come play,
please.
and their mom's like, no.
Courtney Gaines.
okay.
Courtney Gaines is in that movie.
Courtney
He's
Gaines
from,
is,
he's the one of the Klopeks. He's the youngest Klopek.
Oh,
He
okay.
was in the Children of the Corn.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
he's in
did not
Children
know
of the
that.
Corn.
And he's going to be here at Days of the Dead.
At Days of the Dead, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'm gonna be like, he
So
played
you
a
can go
good.
meet Hans.
I had to look up my
A
favorite.
fine Christian name.
I've had to look up my favorite Rumsfeld quote, and it's when he says, "Here you go, Sonny, a little something for the old sweet tooth." I just love that scene.
Dude, mine is there
a
go
good
the
movie.
goddamn brownies.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
They drop them and then they still like they pick them all up and they're like, here you go.
So, I'm sorry. I know you guys are running
for
out
it.
of time,
We
but
always go.
what are some I guess movies that a lot of people would have watched that are still kind of missed for you?
Oh man.
Are there a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah.
I'm not like I didn't grow up really watching movies. Like we just didn't watch a lot of movies. And for me, I'm like more of like a series person. So like I'll like watch series a lot. I mean, I haven't seen like Werewolf in London.
Okay.
You know, things
American
like
Werewolf in
that.
London?
Yeah. So there's like American Werewolf in London. There's a lot of, you probably know the classics more than I
Have you
would
seen
know.
Carrie?
I've seen Carrie.
Okay.
Yes. So
Have you seen Cujo?
I think when I was younger,
Okay.
I
The
did
Thing?
watch Cujo. It's one of my favorite movies.
Okay. All right.
So I've seen like
The
a lot of the
Fog?
classics. I think I watched The Fog.
Okay.
Yes. That's where like the monsters are in.
This is so. I love this. I love this.
Yeah.
When we're
Give
at
me
the
another movie.
when we're at the festival, one of my favorite things to do with people is I call it the handshake five, where I'll walk up to somebody and I'll say, "Hey, we've never met before. My name's Monty. Here is my 5 films that I feel like represents me." It's from my friends at Pure Cinema Podcast. I got to give them a shout out. My buddy Elric Kane and Brian Sauer are 2 of my good buddies. They taught me something called the handshake 5. And this handshake 5 is you shake someone's hand and say, "Hey, what are the 5 films that
That like represent
you?"
Okay.
Right. So I can do this first real quick.
Yeah.
And I'll do it horror themed. Because I have like 10 different versions of it.
Oh my gosh.
So horror themed, I would say Evil Dead Part 2. I would say The Shining.
Okay.
I would say Candyman from the 90s. I would say Return of the Living Dead, the first one. And I would also say Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Ooh.
Those would be my handshake 5.
Okay.
Bill Moseley was just announced today that he's going to be at Days of the
Mosley's
Dead.
so great.
He
Top.
was in one I reviewed last week, Boar.
Boar, yeah.
Yeah.
What would be your handshake 5?
Oh my God.
Putting you on the spot.
Evil Dead 2 is on there. Halloween, Sleepaway Camp, Shaun of the Dead, and don't know.
Oh,
I'd probably actually throw the Burbs on there.
Burbs.
It's a good one.
But yeah, Shaun of the Dead's probably I'd say Shaun of the Dead's probably like my favorite movie. Like not just horror movie, like overall. Like that's like one of those movies where it's like I will put it on and I can watch it all the way through. It's like Tombstone, you know, where you just can always watch Tombstone. Yeah.
I can't
During
stand
COVID, I remember driving up to Camp Verde to watch Shaun of the Dead as a double feature with Evil Dead Part 2.
Where did you do this at Camp Verde?
Yeah, it was like during COVID, so no theaters were open, right? So it was a makeshift drive-in.
Oh, how cool.
And you drove in and you tuned in your AM FM radio, and they had this giant blow-up movie screen, and they played both movies back to back. And I sat in my car lonely because like no one would go with me, so I sat in my car watching. It was such a great experience, and I hadn't seen Shaun of the Dead in so many years.
Yeah,
and I remember like walking away from that driving home, being like, man, that movie's still one of the best things ever made.
Kelsey, wait,
I love that
have
movie.
you seen Shaun of the Dead?
I haven't. I don't really like it. I know.
Do you have a handshake 5?
Let me think. Okay, I would say probably Dawn of the Dead, the remake, the early 2000s one. It's what like gave me my irrational fear of zombies. But speaking of that, and then also 28 Days Later, probably Interview with the Vampire, if you consider it horror.
Of course.
The Thing for sure. And then I don't know what my fifth one would be. I'm like a little punani when it comes to like horror films, which is like funny because like, you know, this is what we do.
Oh, yeah.
Fifth one. It's like one of my, I don't know. I don't know if I have a fifth one.
The Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion movie.
Sure. Let's go with that.
Interview with the Vampire is a good. That's an interesting. That would be. This would be the one if it was the Handshake 5 and we were talking. I'd be like, tell me more about Interview with the Vampire.
I love it, and I can rewatch it so much. And I think Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, and then obviously Kirsten Dunst and
Antonio Banderas.
It's just I just think it's such a wonderfully done
Christian
film.
Slater.
Oh yeah, Christian Slater. I just think it's really beautiful. I like the storyline. I think it's really well acted. And usually movies with kids in it, like, especially like a leading role. I mean, Kirsten Dunst actually was probably a better actress when she was little than she probably is now. No offense, sorry. I just really like it. And vampires also really interest me as well. I think they could actually exist. I know that sounds crazy.
I would love Tom Cruise to play that character one more time.
He's so good in there. He's my favorite part about that whole movie is Cruise doing that character.
He could not it could not be better casted for at least for sure that part.
At that time, yeah. Definitely. At that time, all those actors were at the top of their game.
Absolutely.
So the fact that it was this kind of hard R-rated horror film.
Yeah. I remember it came out like it was people passing down the movie theater kind of thing.
It was like a lot of
the rats, like whenever they are eating
they're
rats
eating the rats,
movie,
yeah.
I guess people in the theater were like, oh. And nowadays it'd be like,
random trivia. I remember Oprah Winfrey saying that, because she loves Tom Cruise. She said, "Oh, that movie was disgusting," and we walked out in the first 10 minutes or something. Like she was so upset about this movie, and that just made me say, "I got to go watch it. I gotta go."
You're like, actually,
I love that movie. I love for many different reasons, but I love it because it was kind of one of those movies that came along when I could start going, to the theater by myself, and I haven't to worry so much about sneaking in or like getting a ticket for something,
and then just like little detour. You're like, wait, but
I think I got a ticket for Mortal Kombat Annihilation so I could go see Scream 2. Yeah.
I remember I watched Candyman in the theaters. I forget what movie I bought, but it was an animated ticket for some Disney or something. Yeah. And I snuck into Candyman.
And Little Mermaid.
And I remember being scared, man. I was so scared during that movie. And to this day, I tell people like I could do an entire 10-hour podcast on Candyman because I feel like it's so ahead of its time. It was so ahead of its time when it came out. And even like now looking back on it, through the spectrum of what we know now, it's still one of these films that wow, it was ahead of its time, but it still is problematic in many ways. But I love that movie. Tony Todd's so great in it. Incredible. He's basically doing Shakespeare. And
the effects still stand up. You know what I mean?
It's Clive Barker's story, right? Way different than what Clive Barker wrote in his book. But I think, we talked about Hellraiser earlier. When Clive Barker gives his characters language, it is beautiful. Like I think there's some things that Pinhead says, for instance, that I think are just a wonderful combination of words that he can put together. It's elegant. There's an elegance to it, and it's so confusing. Hellraiser, when I watched it for the first time, was such a confusing movie to me because I didn't really understand any of the undertone stuff to it. It was just like, this is a weird movie.
Yeah.
But
I do like movies that have something to say.
Yeah.
Like, that you can actually read into it of like what, is happening either like in the culture or like the climate of like what's going on. But still, like, you can also enjoy it for what it is for face value as well. Like, so it like, if you didn't want to read into it as much, so it's like, oh, it's just a horror film. Or like you're saying with Candyman, like there is a lot of, there's definitely a lot of rhetoric around, what, African Americans or marginalized people like go through. And it was like, seeing what happened to him, like before he became Candyman, literally happened to people. Like, you know what I mean? Like even worse stuff happened to people, so that is I do really love that film and actually owe it a rewatch. Did you watch the remake?
I did. I liked the remake too.
Okay.
Yeah. I know a lot of people gave me or told me they didn't appreciate it a whole lot, but I thought the new one, from a voice perspective and who it was written by and everything, I think it just embodied that whole idea of what this character is. And I loved it. I thought it was really great.
I didn't watch the remake, but is it a straight remake or does it tie into the original movies anyway? Because I heard
it's a continuation of the story from the original one. So they still talk about everything that happened at that time, but it also goes back even farther.
So is that character in the movie the same?
No.
Okay. So it's a new
new character, but it's still connected in some ways to that old story as well too. But that's the part that I think is really cool about it is and it plays with the Candyman character so interestingly as well too, because it is like a vessel for that character in the remake at least is a vessel for interesting social commentary. It's a vessel to understand kind of like police concerns and the way people were identified at a time in this in history.
Yeah,
And
it's always funny to me whenever I see people on Twitter like talk about a horror movie, like a new horror movie come out, and they'll complain about how it's being woke or whatever, and it's like, obviously you've never watched a single horror movie because it's been that way since like day one.
look at what Romero was doing with his films.
Exactly.
Romero's films are all social commentary. Even like Craven, Wes Craven's films if you start to unpack what Craven was doing with some of his films, it is commentary on how he felt about society and how he felt about the war and how he felt about the way that his generation was being treated. And I think there's something really beautiful about that. And filmmaking is all a capsule of time. And if you want to go back to kind of feel like what people felt at a certain time, go back and watch some movies from that era because you'll get that understanding. Really good filmmakers do that. They place these movies in a place of time that you can feel all those things. And I wonder, as I get older, when you look back at things that were made in the 2000s, what is film going to look like pre-COVID and what is film going to look like post-COVID? Like, is there going to be something really identifiable? I think it takes time. So you need to get 10, 20, 30 years down past it before you can really start to dissect, what is happening in those things and what people felt. But I think that's really interesting. There even is like that post 9/11 kind of filmmaking that was happening as well too, where like film changed a little bit. And just giving
you can definitely, I mean, even like going to movie theaters is not the same anymore.
No,
like,
not at all.
Yeah, I remember it was like we got to make sure we get there early because it's going to be a lot of people there. People can get popcorn, even with the assigned seat thing already. It's like, but now it's no problem. Like I don't remember the last time I was in like a sold out theater. Like it's been years. Even like big like usually if it was like especially a Marvel movie, like if you were going to a Marvel movie, because we go opening night to every Marvel movie mainly because spoilers. And every single Thursday night, it would be sold out. But now, like, maybe half the theater's full. Yeah. On, like, a good night, It's crazy. Yeah. And even us, like, I love going to the movies. It's my favorite thing. But now, even I will be like, it has to be like a movie made for the theater. Yeah. Or otherwise, I'm probably just going to wait for screening.
And the experience, like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But yeah, I think the experience too, like, when you're surrounded by people and everyone's reacting and like, you're hearing that, it takes it to a whole nother level that streaming just doesn't quite, you just don't quite get at home, and you have a lot more distractions at home. When you're in the theater, it is one of the only times that you are focused on what is in front of you. You know what I mean? And you're just fully immersed in that experience. So I agree. Oh my God, there's a ghost in here.
There's a ghost
Who was that? A kid ghost. The scariest kind.
Remakes too. This isn't a horror movie, but I'm going to end everything on this. Roadhouse remake.
With Jake Gyllenhaal?
2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Whoa, 2 thumbs up.
I was not thinking
and I'll get ready for this, all right?
Yeah.
Guess what, everybody? I love the original Roadhouse. And I love the remake.
Roadhouse.
You could love both, guys.
Wow,
people out there on the internet, you can love both. Dude.
Was Conor McGregor a good actor? Because he's very animated.
He was an actor at 10 every single scene. He was an actor at 10.
That's fine.
Yeah, he was like, his fists are clenched the entire time he's on screen. And he's walking like this. And he's just like this the entire time. There's scenes
but is that
with
just him?
There's scenes with him in this Roadhouse movie that like have no point or purpose, but they're amazing. Like there's a scene where somehow he's in like a student driver car. Don't know how he gets this car. Guess he just stole it. And he just crashes it into a tree and gets out of it. And it's on TikTok everywhere now because people have made a meme about it. And he walks into like the bad guy lair. He's like, let's see what's going on in here. And no one's there anymore because they're all like out fighting Jake Gyllenhaal and stuff. And he's just like, who the fuck is everyone? It's just, and like, yeah. And I see people on Twitter who are just like, oh, I don't like it. The plot was this, but it's like, it's a Roadhouse movie. Yeah. That's like going in a Fast and the Furious movie. Because you want like a good story and plot. It's like, dude, you're here for one-liners and just stupid fights and action movies, and that's it.
Okay.
And it delivers.
All right.
I loved it so much. Especially the opening fight scene with Jake Gyllenhaal where he's like, He's sincere, and the funny part is because he's like sincerely asking this guy. He's like, "Do you have insurance? Before we do this, do you have insurance? Is your coverage okay?"
He's
and
like,
these guys just like, "What do you mean? Well, of course, let's just fight." And he's like, "Hey, is there like a hospital close by?"
Dang.
And then he just like wrecks 5 guys at once, and then it cuts to him driving a car, and they're all in the car because he's driving them to the hospital. It's so great.
I wish I was a badass like that. Like I just could know, like if I ever got in a fight or a situation, I'd be like, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that. Okay, so what would you rate it?
Oh my God. 5.
5 out of 5.
I'm giving it a perfect score.
Monty?
Oof. You want my rating?
Yeah, I want to hear because that was a strong reaction.
I think
to
I
the
gave
5.
it about a 2.5 out of 5.
Okay,
Yeah.
see? All right, see, and this is exactly what is so beautiful about art is everyone can interpret it differently and like it differently. A lot of Tony's movies I don't like, so but I might like this scene.
I give
Jake
the
Gyllenhaal.
original. I love the original Roadhouse, but
Okay.
it's still like a 3.5 for me out of 5.
You know, because it is
The
what
original
it
Roadhouse
is.
is a 10 out of 5 for me.
I mean, Patrick Swayze.
Oh my God.
Patrick Swayze, he's
Pain
so
don't
good.
hurt.
God, I love him.
Ghost,
Ghost.
God, I
Oh my
know.
God, I
Dirty
love
Dancing.
Ghost. I love
Dirty
Ghost.
Dancing, Donnie
amazing.
Darko.
Okay, so I figured out, but my 5th one would be Signs. That's my 5th handshake movie.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Beautiful, I love it.
Really underrated M. Night. That one.
I think it's the best one.
I can never think of that movie again without thinking of that guy. Me and Brian we were at a place, and this guy, like, he was just like trying to start a general conversation. He's like, "Who do you guys think is the greatest filmmaker of all time?" And we're like, "Oh, I don't know." I was immediately like, Steven Spielberg. Like, come on. And he's like, M. Night Shyamalan. No, it's M. Night Shyamalan. And Brian was like, "Yeah, dude, Signs is cool." And the guy says, "What Signs?"
Oh no.
And we're like,
Oh no.
you ain't here saying M. Night is the greatest filmmaker of all time, and you ain't even know what Signs is?
That's like when somebody says the word Hitchcockian. I hear this all the time. That's so Hitchcockian. And I'll be like, "Oh, like what's your favorite Hitchcock movie?" And they're like, "Oh, I've only seen The Birds."
You're like, oh.
I'm like, "Wait a second.
You're like, no rear
Wait
window.
a second." It gets me like so upset.
Oh God.
Rear Window's
Signs
mine.
Signs is awesome. I have a story about Unbreakable. I went on a date with a girl. I took her to Unbreakable, which is a bad move because if a movie was playing, I'm not paying attention to anybody else that's there with me. And I remember about 20 minutes from the end, I reached over. I said, "I think this is about comic books." and I went back, and I kid you not, it ended, and pretty much the date ended because I think she was like trying to get my attention. She was upset that I wasn't paying attention there because I was like, "I think this is about comic books."
Did you have any audible reaction to the after credits scene of Split?
Of Split,
Split was a
Whenever
great
you
movie.
realize, like, oh my God, this is
That's all related.
yeah.
Split, I thought was really, really. People gave it a lot of flack when it came out, but I thought it was fun. I
Yeah.
really liked that movie.
I really
I
liked
loved
that
it.
movie.
And whenever like that ending happened, I like I went at the theater. I was like, "Oh, they're gonna make a sequel."
Me and my friends always like if like someone has like a rough night out or like it's a little bit more crazy than everyone else, we're like, "That wasn't me, that was Patricia." So we always send each other that gif, and it's amazing. Well, Monty, thank you so much for joining us. Anyone that wants to attend the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival, make sure to head to phoenixfilmfestival.com. You will not be disappointed. There's so much absolutely amazing things. I mean, you told me I want to go. I haven't been in forever, and I think it would just be so much fun. Any last words before we get out of here for anyone who's maybe on the fence about going?
You know, a film festival is a great place to meet new people. And when you go to a film festival, you're going to see people who love movies just like you love movies. And our hope is that you find a new friend. And our hope is also that you find your new favorite movie.
I love that. Films, friends,
And
popcorn.
Popcorn.
All right, and Tony, you've been talking about a lot of Scaredycast events coming up. Where can people go to get information about that?
Scaredycast.com.
Boom, we'll see you there. Thank you guys so much for
Boom.
tuning in. And then I don't know, maybe Brian will be back next week. Maybe Monty. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Let's see.
Thanks, guys.